Hey Braden, today we're going to read in Matthew again, chapter 15, verse 33. And this is about Jesus when he is continuing his ministry. He's going from town to town and healing people and talking about God and just doing what God has him to do when he's here on earth. And this one particular time, he's got huge crowds following him around, and he's ministering to them, and they stay with him for 3 days. And he says that he feels sorry for these people because they've been with him for 3 days, and they've run out of food, and they don't. He's just feeling sorry for them. And so the disciples say, "Well, send them home. Let them go into town and get something to eat." And Jesus said, "No, they can't. We can't do that because they're so hungry they'll faint on the way." He said, "Do we have any food?" And the disciples said, "Well, we only have a couple of loaves of bread and a couple of fish." Well, this sounds familiar, doesn't it? So he said, "Okay, sit them down and we'll feed them here." And then Jesus performs a miracle, and he feeds 4,000 people with just a few loaves of bread and a couple of fishes. And he'd done that before. And so the crazy thing is that the disciples, who had not very long ago had already seen him feed a larger crowd. Before, there were 5,000 people, and he fed all of them. But now here again, it's like they completely forgot what was going on or what had happened. Because they say, "Where are you going to get any food?" They need to go into town. And so it makes me think that we shouldn't be like that ourselves. It's important that we don't forget the miracles that God has done in our lives and the things that he has done for us. Maybe, I don't know if the disciples were just maybe they didn't realize that when he had fed the 5,000 before, maybe they didn't realize that there was a miracle being performed. Maybe they were too busy handing out bread and fish to think about what had happened and to realize that this was a miracle. Or maybe they were too busy worried about the current situation to think about how God had taken care of them in the past. So for us, if we're too caught up in a situation that we don't realize how God is working in it, then we will not be able to remember that later when he acts in our favor again. Or if we I lost my train of thought, but my point is it's important that we just stop and take account of what God has done for us. Even in the middle of a situation, we feel like we don't know how we're going to take care of this. Stop and remember that God has taken care of us before. And when you're in the midst of a situation and it turns out okay, you should stop right then and remember and thank God for it, or write it down, or tell someone what happened. That way it'll help jog our memory later on when we need to remember that God takes care of us. So God God acts in our favor. He's good, he loves us, and he even does miracles for us. A lot of times we probably don't even realize it. Maybe that's what happened with the disciples. They didn't realize that God had already performed a miracle. So we should thank him for all the time that he's acted in our favor, and do something to mark the event so that we would know and remember for later. Love you.